Hi, my name is Lyle Wilds and I am a brain coach. This is going to be the first of a series of presentations about brain coaching. When I speak of brain coaching, I mean coaching your brain, my brain, our brains, and that is to learn the life we want to have and to develop it, coach our brain to produce it. So I never intended to be a brain coach, but sometimes life defines a role for you that's just too difficult to ignore. So I'm now a brain coach because I spent 20 years of my life growing up, 20 years of my life messed up, and 20 years of my life locked up. And I've been out of federal prison now for 4 years. And while I was in federal prison, I got to meet lots of brains. And those brains interacted with me in many different ways. And so I decided if I'm in prison, it must be because of my brain. And so I started to research the brain. I read as much as I could get about the brain and finally developed this theory about brain coaching. So let me give you an example. If you don't coach your brain, your brain will be coached from the outside in. Or you can coach it from the inside out and create the behavior that you want. So I want to just kind of introduce you today to a few words that I'll be using in my lectures, and hopefully they'll make a connection to you. Okay, so when we go to a different way of thinking, we have new words that come into our vocabulary. And I'd like to talk about some new words that will be defined in terms of the way that I'm going to be using them. So I'd like you to just think for a moment about the word sense of self. These words are about a subjective feeling that you have about yourself. So as I'm talking to you, you're talking to yourself about me talking to you. So you could see that you have a sense of self. And I'd like you to think about that sense of self as only existing as spaceless, but it's real, and you experience it subjectively. So let me give you an example. Take the rainbow. Like on a cloudy day when the weather conditions are perfect, there's a rainbow in the sky. It is spaceless. You can't pull it down and have it as a figure and hold it in front of you, but you know it's there. It's there because of its colors. It's real. It affects your life. And as the conditions of the weather changes, the rainbow changes. It becomes less bright, it fades, it gets brighter, whatever. So if you could picture your own brain having a neurological condition that allows your sense of self to be bright and robust, that's the person that I want to talk to today. And so that sense of self that we're talking about is going to build a relationship with the brain that hosts it. So you are now listening to me as I'm talking to you about you coaching your brain. So what does that mean? It means two things. First, it means that you are not your brain. And second, it means that your brain is coachable. And that's going to be what I'm going to be repeating over and over and over, is that the brain is coachable. Now we can talk about more of that because I have other words I'd like to share with you. The second word we're going to be using has to do with the brain, and in order for us to understand the next word, we've got to understand something about the brain. And the brain has to have a characteristic about it in order for it to be coached. So we have a sense of self that's hosted in the brain that's now going to coach the brain on the behavior it's going to produce. So the word I'd like you to think about and to discuss is plasticity. And plasticity means that the brain has the ability to change. So for example, you may have had some friends in the past that you remember their names, but now you've forgotten their names and you've learned new names. So if you have old names that you've forgotten and new names that are now in your brain, that means it has a plasticity to be changed. And so think of it as a time of in-between. In between the way the brain used to function and the way the brain's going to function. So the next word we're going to use is going to be dealing with that in between. So I hope this is exciting for you, because brain coaching is something you may not have heard, and it may be a whole new paradigm for you, but whether you're 20 or 70, brain coaching is going to be the future. And if we don't understand that, we're going to miss out on a lot of the possibilities that exist for each of us. I find the flow of water on this river here really interesting in comparison to the brain. Because if you look at this water, you'll see that the actual shape of the water doesn't change much. It has the same picture all the time. So if you were to picture that as the thoughts of your brain, it's the same activity, the same foam, it's always doing the same thing over and over. So if you think of your thoughts as being a stream of thoughts, it would match the very landscape of this river. So if we did an MRI on your brain, we would find the activity of your brain to be consistent and to have a profile that's you. So your thoughts produce a certain activity that would give us a profile of your brain, just like your thumbprint. So we could also take a snap picture of this river, and every time we take a picture of it, it looks the same river, even though it's changing just like your thoughts are going through. So in order for us to do that, I'd like you to think about this word, which is neurological reconstruction. So if you want to change your life to have a neurological reconstruction, it is going to require a plasticity, and it's going to require the presence of a sense of self. So the sense of self has to be active, involved, and attentive. The brain has to have the ability to be changed, and then we have to have the change take place, which is we would have to reconstruct the way these thoughts are flowing to get different behavior, because this river is producing a behavior that's consistent and common unless something changes. And so what's interesting about reconstruction is that it is possible, and once we do reconstruct it, we can lock it in with habits, and it becomes your new lifestyle. So brain coaching is going to be that process of getting the sense of self, plasticity, and reconstruction all put together in a way that can change your life. To continue on now with our understanding of brain coaching, we're going to be talking about the flow of thoughts again, but we want to remember that neurological reconstruction means that we're going to change this. Now, if we don't change it, I would like you to think about the words automatic pilot. An automatic pilot can be related to an airplane that's flying on its own on an automatic pilot, or you could think of this river as being on automatic pilot. Nothing is changing in this river right now. It is an automatic pilot. It's flowing, it's going to continue to flow, and if it was to end up into trouble down at the other end, it is because it is happening the same all the time. So automatic pilot means that we are letting our brain run on the operations of which it has been trained and has been coached. Now, I do want to just say a couple of things about brain coaching, and that is that you can either coach your brain from the inside and have it do what you want, or you can allow the external to coach your brain. To give you a better feeling for coaching your brain, you may even invite and take in some alcohol, drinks, and you're going to change your brain. If you change your brain by the alcohol, you will change your behavior. So if you were to do something with alcohol, you'll change the way your thought process works. Now, you may either drink or not drink because you want to change your brain, or you don't want to. And the same with drugs. You may do drugs because you want a different experience in the world, and that changes your brain. You may not want to do drugs because without drugs allows you to have the experience that you enjoy. So my position is that we can enjoy life if we coach our brains to develop the flow of thoughts we want it to have, that would be a wonderful experience in our lives. So you can coach yourself to hate, or you can coach yourself to love. You can coach yourself to love birds, or you can hate the sound of crows. You can coach yourself to love your partner, or you can talk yourself out of it and start to hate your partner. So just think about you're coaching your brain, or I get to coach your brain, or the TVs get to coach your brain, or the churches coach your brain, or the schools coach your brain. You have a choice who you're going to allow to coach your brain, or you're going to do it yourself. Otherwise, it'll stay on automatic pilot. But you can see the damage that's been done over across the river here, and that is kind of when things get hijacked. When the brain gets hijacked, it does that kind of damage to the landscape of our friendships. And so that is what I would like you to think about as we think about our brain when it's not running smoothly, it's not on automatic pilot, but it's been emotionally hijacked. Now, I'm sure that you've been emotionally hijacked, and I'm sure that when you have been emotionally hijacked, that's been the result of your relationships. So just think that when the brain is running smoothly, everything's okay, but you can get hijacked. So we know that the brain can get hijacked, and one of the things we want to do in coaching it is have it live in the world in such a way that it doesn't get emotionally hijacked so that it tears the whole relationship up. It may have a spurt, but it comes back to kind of an automatic pilot once again. So just think, when you are hijacked, you become myopic. You can't think about anything other than why you're angry and the damage you're doing at that very moment. So please, really think about the brain in terms of being hijacked and how we want to coach it to live in the world more peacefully and more lovingly.